Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to be back with you guys. For those of you who have been watching for a little while, you know that I've been MIA for quite a little bit. But I'm so glad to be back with you guys. All this information is information I wish I would have known 2 to 3 years ago or even before that. You know, where you're just figuring out who you are. You want to be liked, but like you don't know how to sort of fit in or how to interact with other people. This video is for all of you guys who struggle with that, if that resonates with you at all, or if you're already pretty confident, you have a good circle of friends that you really like, but you just want to learn how to grow your confidence and your self-love. This video is also for you. I have some notes on my phone, by the way, so if you see me looking, this is where I'm looking. I am not going to repeat to you the same BS that everyone wants to say about like, oh, not everybody's gonna like you and just be yourself. No, learn how to provide something that makes you a likable person. And yeah, not everybody is going to like you. To make friends or to be likable, the thing that a lot of people don't want to tell you is that you have to provide value of some sort when you're coming into the relationship. So look at all of your best qualities or the things that you like or are interested in. Look at your not so good qualities and what you might like to change. And that will tell you all that you need to know. Would you want to be your friend and why? And once you know the why, that is when you can start to project more of this confident vibe. And once you have that self-love within yourself, you are going to put that out. Once it's in your aura, it will come out, I promise. Confidence is something you definitely have to practice, but before then, just provide value to whatever relationship that you are trying to have, especially within friendships. People often ask, like, what do you bring to the table in a romantic relationship or business opportunities or things like that, but we don't think about it when it comes to friendships. Ways you can provide value to a friendship include offer emotional support, to have a good sense of humor, to be a good listener, be reliable, always show up on time. You can show thoughtfulness, give them good gifts, or you can, like, even the smallest gestures, just checking in, like saying, hey, how you doing? Checking in on you. That is going to provide so much value. Some other things you can do is to be the one to initiate events, to create a shared experience. And one of the best things that you can do in a friendship is to respect the other person's boundaries. Just as you want your boundaries to be respected, when you put that effort into a friendship, you will reap the benefits. Okay, and now I have a list of commonly asked questions when it comes to self-confidence and making friends. Number 1, how can I build self-confidence when I feel insecure or unworthy? Okay, this is a very good question because everybody deals with this at some point in our life. But like, girl, let me tell you that the beauty standard is always changing. The character standard is always changing. The most important thing when it comes to confidence is how you feel about yourself. So I am telling you, the amount of disdain or shame that you feel around yourself, people can feel that as soon as you walk into a room. So the way to change that is easy things, like you can do your affirmations. And I know that that sounds a little bit cliche, but it works and it's there for a reason. The affirmations itself isn't what changes your reality. The affirmations put you in a better mindset so that your frequency is changed and that your aura projects more authentically and magnetically. You can also listen to subliminals. You can dance around the house to your favorite high vibrational music. You can walk around your dopamine, like, I don't know, like hitting your goals and like being consistent. That is the best way to build up your self-confidence in yourself. Like, think of the things that you can easily do and start being consistent with those. So then you build up this sort of confidence in yourself, and then you want to do more and more, and then all of a sudden you just become that girl all of a sudden, and then you just feel like, oh my goodness, who is this? Question number 2 is, what are some practical tips for overcoming social anxiety in group settings? Okay, so this is A huge one that I personally have struggled with so much. Literally going to school, going to class, I would want to throw up. I would be crying. This is a complete game changer. The reason I figured out why I was so anxious to be in these social settings is because every time I would go, I would come home feeling worse, or I would like feel this really heavy energy. And I'm telling you, this is so important. Before you go anywhere, pray or have a mantra, some kind of affirmation that closes your spirit to all of these negative energies and emotions around you. Because honestly, I feel like the most anxious people are those who can read and feel the emotions and auras and energy of everyone around them. So when you're this sponge walking into a room, like that's gonna make you hella anxious. So you have to learn how to overcome that and like sort of get these tools and methods to help you get over that. If you're just like naturally a shy person, like that's okay. You can find other friends who are like that you can relate to. Like you don't have to be this extroverted person who just like wants to talk to everybody. Like it's okay to be introverted, but if you have trouble speaking to people at all, I'm telling you, exposure therapy is the way to go. I know it is so utterly terrifying sometimes, but to expose yourself over and over, eventually you just get used to it and you get better at it. One thing that I started with was looking people in the eyes as I walked past them. Once I started like looking people in the eyes, I don't know, I feel like that was one of the first steps. I didn't automatically have that sense of confidence, but it came. And also a big part of this is like to not shame yourself for the feelings you feel, because your body is literally trying to protect you by putting you into this fight or flight. Sometimes you gotta tell it, you gotta be like, hey, so actually it's okay. And you can take your brain, get a separate entity from you. You can name it like, I don't know, Kelly. Georgia be like, Kelly is just misbehaving right now. Georgia's just going insane. Like, I don't know why she's doing that. And then once you can sort of laugh about it, then you can sort of get out of that state of like having a panic attack. I don't know if that's helpful to anyone, but it was kind of helpful to me to think about it in that way. Okay, number 3, how do I start conversations with strangers without feeling awkward? Personally, I don't think you need to constantly be looking for friendship. I feel like honestly we can get so caught up in like, oh, I need to be socially likable and accepted and be so extroverted and blah 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 blah. Like yes, you need to build your network and you need to expose yourself to new things and not be afraid to try and fail. But to be honest, and again, this is just a practice thing, I feel like the best way to start conversations with other people is to have something interesting about yourself and then notice the interesting things about other people, and that's something that you can relate with. So find a hobby. I'm telling you, have a life. Once you have a life, 1, you're not so focused on having other people in your life, and then 2, you have things to relate to when you go around other people. So like, you're not boring anymore, and that makes you a tiny bit more likable. I'm not saying that people without hobbies are just these boring, unlikable people, but I'm telling you that this is a way to grow your self-confidence, your self-love, and it changes your self-concept in a way once you realize like how much you're capable of. I feel like another thing people would do good to realize is that you're not always in a season of meeting new people. Sometimes you're just in a season of building and being alone with yourself. And sometimes God wants to teach you something and you keep going around to other people being like, hey, can you teach me something? God is trying to teach you something, honey. Like, focus on you. Focus on you. Okay, number 4, what should I do if I fear rejection or being judged by others? Honestly, there's not something that you need to specifically do, because it's not a bad thing to be afraid of rejection. It's actually a very normal human instinct. Like, this is how our ancestors were like safe. You had to learn how to assimilate and how to be like everyone else and be liked. That was how you survived. But now we are sort of in a place where that's not necessary anymore. So honestly, it is just a learning process. You don't necessarily have to do anything. My favorite thing is to just sit with the feeling and realize that sometimes you're just going to be afraid or anxious to go into a situation, but that stress is actually really healthy. It means that you're trying something new, and that is how you grow. If you're constantly feeling this sort of anxiousness and heaviness, one, that could be a trauma response, something that you need to journal about, get healing about, or go to a therapist about. Or two, that could be a sign from the universe, a gut feeling that you just aren't meant to be around these people. When you first meet someone, if you have that gut instinct that like, no, I don't know what's wrong, but something's wrong, listen to it. It's only okay to be afraid sometimes, and don't be afraid to fail. Like if somebody rejects you, that's okay. Like you just might need to constantly keep getting over that rejection and failure until you meet your people. Like sometimes that is also the problem, that you're not socially anxious, you are just around the wrong people. Don't just be friends with anyone if they don't align with your goals, because remember, you are the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. So look at your people that you are around, your friends, your partners, people you live with. If you do not want to be them, if you are not in admiration of them, do not stick around. And here's a couple of last tips just to close out. Remember that how you show up in the world is how you will feel. Like if you feel good about yourself, I'm not saying that the makeup, the clothes, whatever it is, should be the root of your confidence. You should feel confident when you go home and take off all the makeup and pretty clothes. Groom yourself, take care of yourself, and wear things that make you feel confident. Don't be afraid to outshine others, to be the one who is sort of going against the flow. You are never too much, you are just asking the wrong person. And another thing that people will ignore very often is that when you are feeling these feelings of shame and unappreciation for yourself, you don't have that love for yourself, it is very likely that your hormones or your chakras are unaligned, that you are unbalanced. And so that is something I would encourage everyone to look into, not necessarily to get into the whole spirituality genre, although like if you want to do that, that is completely up to you and something that you should explore. But this is something that everyone should at least be mindful and aware of. I will link one of my favorite videos explaining the whole chakra thing down in the description if you want to go check that out. And one last piece of advice, nobody likes a cocky girl. Having self-confidence is one thing, and being in love with yourself is one thing. But if you ever are feeling that you are above other people, that other people do not deserve your time, energy, or respect, that is something that you need to go internal and reflect about, because that is not the natural state of being. We are all human, we are all one. To be cocky is to deprive yourself of seeing the beauty in everyone else around you. My very, very last tip that I want everyone to pay attention to is that if you are a female, you must have other female friendships. It is scientifically proven that women without other women companions get depressed, lonely, and are more likely to die. And just always appreciate your girlfriends. Don't ever let a boy come between you. Don't let life push you away. Sometimes you grow apart from people, but don't intentionally get too busy to ever love on and check in on your friends. And that is all of the advice I have for you guys today. I'm so excited to continue this journey with you, and I'm so grateful that you chose to spend your time today with me. I know I enjoyed it, and I hope you did too, and I hope you learned something. And with that, I will see you in the next one. I love you. Bye-bye.